I was impressed. Uh, So happy summer, right? It feels like summer out there, right? Like it should be June or something. It's supposed to be like 94 today, and I feel like I could cancel soccer on Tuesdays. It's gonna be 97. I'm like, if it stays above 95, I feel like I could justify it, maybe, right? Like that's hot. We spent all Saturday out at the fields and it was only like 88. And I was like, oh, I'm working on my sock tan already. Like my kids were making fun of me because my feet are so white. They're like, take your shoes off. I'm like, oh, you don't want to see that. Right? I'll blind all of you. Anyway, it's so warm out there. I hate it. I opened my phone this morning, the weather app, and it was accidentally on Washington because we're going to Washington for spring break. I was like, oh, it's like 50 and pouring today. I was like, I'm in the wrong place. Today here, 94. I know most people love it, but I'm like, it's too hot for me. So I hope you're all doing well. Speaking of spring break, it's coming up soon, right? So we have this week and next week, and then we have spring break. So if you're like ready for a break, it's coming, right? So hang in there. Otherwise, we'll jump right back into where we were. We got through men, but we get to still talk about communicating with women today. So we'll pick up there and then we'll finish up this chapter and then move into the chapter on love and intimacy. So I want to give you just like 1 minute because we talked about it last time, but it was a couple of days ago. So just with the people around you, like 1 minute quickly, kind of revisit how do women tend to communicate stereotypically? And then we'll talk about it together as a big group. But I'll give you just a moment to kind of chat with the people around you and then we'll talk together. So the second bullet. And if you ever written down, even better, but so stereotypical ways women communicate.
Yeah. When they grow up. You're fine. There we go. That was right. I love that you told John it was like, I was gonna say like but like women tend to like do this or like they just want to I feel like basing that on yeah, like this yeah. So follow it. You guys. I always like it.
All right, should we talk together? Some of you look very done. What do you think? How do women communicate? I have a story to share about living with lots of women in communication. But let's start somewhere. Where do or how do women tend to focus and what do they tend to focus on in their communication? Yeah.
It's just like a self-report, but it's always like I'm fine. Like
yes.
Like when it comes to like dealing with like how you're feeling, it's just like I'm fine.
Right.
I'm okay.
Oh, and I know the second I hear fine, I'm in trouble. Right? Like I'm fine. I'm like, uh-oh. Because fine, right, like could be a lot of things, right? Like sometimes that's like a kind of like a shutdown, like, oh, it's fine. I don't really want to say more. Well, there's an acronym for fine, right? Like effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That's what it stands for. Kind of a joke. Right? What else do we have about how women communicate? What else do you know? Does they tend to focus on?
Yeah, I said at least in high school, they've experienced they're a lot more dramatic and they like to cause more drama versus kind of like they've got.
Okay, so maybe kind of a little bit more drama in your interactions. Anything else? Yeah.
You're definitely having a lot.
Yeah, gossip, right? And again, these are stereotypes, so they may or may not hold true. So I'll tell you my story while you think of other things, right? So in my house, so I have a female, like, I have a wife, and then I have three daughters that are 11, 11, and 13, right? So a lot of female communication in my house. I tend to be more like stereotypically male, but I'm also very sensitive, so that kind of counters that, I think, a little bit. But my least favorite thing in our house is having to figure out where we're going to dinner. Because it is like the biggest battle ever. So yesterday, Sunday, right? Wait, yes, yesterday was Sunday. I'm like, I don't know what day it is, right? Yesterday, we had this fight, where we asked all of our kids, we're like, everyone come in here for a minute. Where does everyone want to go to dinner? My oldest, anywhere's fine. Uh-oh, bad start, okay? Anywhere's fine. My middle, anywhere's fine. My youngest said Popeyes and KFC. My partner, I don't know. And I was like, we're screwed. This is gonna be like a 4-hour battle. I can tell you right now, right? And so anywhere's fine. We were saying fine, like fine is always a word in my house that is not a good start. So I was like, okay, anywhere's fine. So I started with like, if I were alone right now, this is where I would go eat. That didn't go over well. It was like, I was like, so if nobody else was here, I'd probably order pizza, because then I don't have to go out. They were like, well, we had pizza like 2 days ago. Okay. I would then choose, what did I choose next? So it's like maybe the habit. That sounds good. Well, it's really greasy. Okay, I'm over 2. Okay, and then next I was like, how about we go to that area and somebody could go to the Habit, you could go to Chipotle. There's also like the Fish Grill. There's like 5 different restaurants right there. We could even all kind of have whatever and eat outside. That sounds complicated. Okay. And I was like, what happened to anywhere's fine, people? Like, I thought anywhere was fine for you. Anywhere was fine for you. My daughter's over here pissed because we're not having KFC here. And this literally went on for an hour. After an hour, my wife gave up and was like, forget it. We're not going on. Right? My oldest was like, I'll just eat something from the fridge. I had Lucky Charms for dinner, like magically delicious Lucky Charms for tomorrow, right? Like I had bought a box of them. I was like, I'll just eat that. That's simple. And we all literally just ate random stuff at the house because as a group, we could not figure out where to eat. So like the hidden messages for me sometimes are like, what I think of first every time. It's like anywhere's fine. Not really. Like I never ever win that battle the second it's set. I always think of it's kind of like more layered, or maybe you're like a little more indirect than it appears on the surface. If anywhere's fun, I was like, well, then why didn't we eat the pizza? It sounded easy and good. I lost that one. Anyone think of anything else? Anything else here for like stereotypical female communication or how you talk to women? Yeah.
I think kind of on the same branch as that, I think women tend to be a little bit more tuned to what other people are thinking or feeling. And
sure.
Change what they want to say depending on what they think.
Yeah.
They want to hear. So like for me, when I'm like, oh, anywhere's fine, it's because I don't want to give a suggestion.
Yeah.
Else want to go there rather than where they originally wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think we kind of adjust our own what we say and our own opinions and our own feelings and things sometimes, or how we verbalize them to attune to other people.
And I would agree that that's really common too. It's like the focus on the community instead of contest or relationships, and like kind of trying to adjust to what everyone else wants rather than asserting what you would want, right? Anyone have anything else that made you think of? Yeah.
He didn't like eat with his exes because they would keep like he liked them at the beginning, but they would keep kind of changing their likes and dislikes and being more like him, and that made him dislike them. And I was like, that's a stereotype I can see.
Yeah, of kind of adjusting. It's very similar idea of like I'll adjust to you. Yeah, and I think that like not being not wanting to assert or like have your own strong preference that could create tension, right? But sometimes that does then create problems, whether it's like, well, you're too like me now rather than like you, or now we don't know where we're eating, right? Like it creates issues. Other things I had written down that they tend to talk a lot, being emotional, being sensitive, more passive, kind of all the things that all of you are sharing. I have a clip for this one. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Yeah.
Incredibly not correct.
Yeah.
Like
very.
they'll like wait a year before telling me something important, like they'll just sort of like wait for me to figure it out.
3 years ago, you did this, and I've been waiting to bring it back up, right? Like, I've heard that one a lot too, of like, I'm gonna wait to pounce on something that you did a long time ago when it happens again, right? Not wanting to bring things up, yeah.
So we, in the theater group, we've been together, well, I say we, but I've only been a part of it for.
About communicating. There's something called the onion theory of communication. I always think of Donkey from Shrek with this. Like, you have to reveal yourself in layers like an onion, right, which he mentions in there. But when you first meet someone, you kind of start at the surface of the onion, right, the outer layer, and then you move in the more that you get to know them. If you reveal too much too fast, people run, freaks them out. Okay, you can't give too much too quickly. But if you don't start revealing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, then it's like it's not getting deeper and they tend to run as well. So it's kind of this balance of you have to reveal a little bit at a time. You get layers in the longer you've been together. There's a part in Baby Mama where they're on like a first date. And on the date, like she's telling him like a million things. He gets up to go to the bathroom and you see him leaving in a car outside, right? Like it's just a very like common stereotype that if you do too much too fast, it's a problem. If you don't do enough, it's a problem as well. So you want to reveal yourself a little bit more and more and more in layers. Friendships are true with that as well. Also really important that you discuss your sexual history and preferences, something that people hate to do, right? Most people don't want to hear about like things that have happened in your past with an ex or with whoever. But if you don't talk about your preferences and a little bit of sexual history, at least a little bit, then you're going off of past relationships and guesswork. And that can be a little bit problematic as well. Really important with this to learn how to make requests, to say no, to have self-disclosure and promote like opening up and sharing your feelings, and to be empathetic, right? Like if you have a partner who's had any kind of like trauma or anything in their history, that's really important. If somebody's really into something, it'd be nice to know that, or they really don't like something, it'd be nice to know, rather than finding out like in the moment. And I have an example of this one as well. It's the last one from these movies, but it's from the movie I Love You, Man, about blowjobs and oral sex, right? They never talk about it. And so they just go off of past assumptions and thoughts and ideas. Again, not something that most people want to necessarily discuss. And you can see Paul Rudd has like a look on his face at one point of like disgust, which I think sums that up really well. There we go. But let me play this for you. I think it's a great example of like having this kind of discussion. It can be to have those conversations. It's important. And I think he has that look of like disgust of like, oh, don't talk about it, right? Like I've been with my partner 23 years. I still hate whenever her ex comes up. Every time I'm like, why are we talking about her, right? Like, no. And like, it's just something that I think most of us don't ever want to think about, which is fine. But it can sometimes lead to problems in a current relationship when you don't have those conversations. So really important when possible to talk about even your sexual preferences and history and so on. One last thing in this chapter, kind of a famous duo here, Gottman and Gottman. Right now, there's a married couple, John Gottman and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name. Gottman and Gottman. They always just go by Gottman and Gottman or G&G. The two of them are a husband-wife duo who focus on couples therapy, right? And have for years and years and years. They've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of couples. And what they came up with was this analogy or this metaphor, but that they called the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse in any relationship. Right. So kind of that reference to the end of times in the New Testament, right? That these 4 horsemen or 4 things will bring about the end of a relationship if not addressed. So they said that they could predict attacking their personality, criticizing them, right? You always do this. You never do that, right? Like big generalizations like that tends to be a problem. Because most of the time it's not always or never. Like maybe you didn't do it today, but it's not always. But when you globally attack someone's personality or character, they tend to shut down and stop trying because they feel like it doesn't matter. And it leads to other problems. I also said contempt is a really dangerous one. Attacking your partner's sense of self, body language, like rolling your eyes at your partner can be really like a mean, like dangerous thing to continuously do. Like sneering, like sarcasm, mocking them, all of those things show contempt for your partner, right? And those again are negative patterns. Being defensive all the time, always seeing yourself as the victim. Well, you think it's bad for you. Let me tell you about me. Always turning it around, right? So not like hearing your partner disagreeing, cross complaining, they sometimes called it. That's not true. It's actually you who is the one who does whatever, right? Like being defensive with everything. And then stonewalling, where you withdraw from the relationship to deal with conflict. And some people, when they're fighting, need a little bit of space. That's not bad. But other people will literally put up like a wall, or they disappear. They like run away and they don't deal with the issues at hand. And then they hold on to it and wait and then write a 10-page letter, like you said about it, like later, right? Or bring it up like way later when it's relevant. So withdrawing from the relationship or removing yourself for long periods of time can also be a big issue. And again, people deal with conflict in different ways, right? Like when my partner and I have a fight, I want to deal with it right then, like, because it's like immediate for me. And she wants to like go disappear and like calm down and let me calm down and deal with it in an hour. And we've had to find a compromise with that because neither of us are probably happy with the way we do it now, but it's way more successful than her disappearing and me not giving her space and all of that. So it's kind of just finding ways to deal with these things in a way that makes sense to you. And not just leaving these patterns. According to Gottman and Gottman, if you leave them, they will blow up and become more and more problematic over time. And I love the picture at the bottom because it looks like she's going to eat him, right? Like she just looks so aggressive, right? I don't know which one that would be. Maybe that's an intent to harm. I don't know, but like I thought it was a funny picture. Any like thoughts, comments, anything here, anything else related to gendered communication before we move on to the next unit? I'll put one more movie up here. I don't have a clip from it to share with you, but if you've ever seen the movie American Beauty, it's an older movie at this point, but I think it's a great example of a couple that has these four things. They just yell at each other. They're awful to each other. They have all these like issues in their relationship. And it's a huge problem, right? And there's a lot of great examples of it in that movie. Yeah.
Honestly, in the context of a relationship, but like, is there a different, or obviously these could be applicable in like non-relationship situations.
Like friendships, families.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
Did G&G like make like a separate one for family and friends?
They didn't. No, they only focused on like heterosexual married couples too. So like it was kind of isolated to that demographic. But I think you can take this stuff and kind of generalize it. Like you don't want friends who do this to you either, right? Like if you had a friend who did these four things, you probably will slowly lose that friendship a little bit over time because they're not going to be easy to talk to or deal with, right? Or family members, if you want to have successful relationships with them, probably can't have too much of this either. So I think you could make some good generalizations from it, but they really only focused on like heterosexual married couples in their research. Anything else before we move on? Okay. Again, lots of great movies here. Our next chapter is all about love and intimacy. So kind of building on falling in love. With who and why, the types of love. I have a couple of kind of fun inventories to give you here related to types of love and attachment style, which are very correlated to this topic. But we'll talk a little bit about kind of relationships and falling in love and where it comes from, the chemistry of love. There's a lot of like biology involved in falling in love. I thought I would start with a falling in love montage for you. I found like a montage of film clips of people falling in love. And I love it because it's like all over the place. Like, and there are examples from all sorts of things, all sorts of different types of relationships. So I'll play this for you. It's short. Makes me want to watch Star Wars every time. I don't know why. There's a little Star Wars clip, and that's all. That's my takeaway is like, I want to watch Star Wars now. But let me play this for you. I think it's a good way to get in the relationships, which I think is fantastic. So we'll talk about some of the things that influence that. And one of the biggest like precursors to falling in love has to do with attachment style. So we have to go backward in order to understand right now. Okay, so when we are young, we form an attachment with our primary caregivers. And that attachment style, this is maddening sometimes to think about, that your parents had such a big role in this, right? But that attachment style sets the stage for how you view your romantic relationships as an adult. Okay, and so what we have are years and years of different people talking about attachment. One of the very first people was a guy named Harry Harlow. And Harry Harlow was doing this research like way back in the 1950s with monkeys. And this is a very like classic study where he had like a terry cloth monkey and a wire monkey. And he would look at, see like which would the baby monkey go to, the one that was like covered in cloth and soft, but didn't have food, or the one that was wired and had food. And they consistently picked the soft, like comfy mother rather than the one with food, right? And so this was one of the first like studies related to this, looking at what is it that like young animals in this case would prefer. Do they prefer comfort or do they prefer like food and nourishment, right? And they always, almost always chose comfort. And then moving forward, we had John Bowlby, who was the next person who studied this. And also one more person, which was Mary Ainsworth. But lots of people studying this idea in psychology, and it's something that is really, really well documented. And what we've come up with, and there's a little bit of variability in this, they're sometimes called like different things, which is why they're in like, in parentheses afterward. But we've come up with like 4 main attachment styles that people tend to have. And you may or may not know yours. Like I said, I have a little inventory I'll give you in a few minutes so that you can kind of play around with that a little bit. But in general, there's kind of like one gold, like standard healthy one. And then there's 3 that can develop if things happen in your childhood. And typically, this is set into place by the time you're like under 2. Okay, so we're talking really, really little. Once you start to walk and crawl, you venture away from your caregivers and you come back. And it's the constant moving back and forth away from them and back to them that starts to set this stage. So when someone has a secure relationship, they feel safe, understood, they were comforted in early like interactions with the parent. Their parents were there, they were present, they comforted them, and they were consistent, right? It's kind of like, again, like the gold standard. Ideally, you would like to have a secure attachment style, but not all parents are able to do that, right? And I think generationally, this has changed a little bit as well as we've learned more and more about it. So we can get people who are anxious or preoccupied, which means you have fears of rejection and abandonment, right? As a child, you need validation. You tend to be a little bit codependent. This comes from very inconsistent parenting, where they weren't attuned to your needs. Sometimes they met your needs, sometimes they didn't. And so now as an adult, you're anxious around relationships because you don't know what to expect, because that's what you were raised with. Okay, so these things, there's lots of books about this too, where they explain like why it affects relationship dynamics as an adult, especially when you have people of different types of dynamics together. You can have people who are avoidant or dismissive. They tend to have distance, physical and emotional distance. They had strict or emotionally distant or absent caregivers. And so they learn to deal with things on their own. And so they tend to avoid others. They don't trust them. I'll do it by myself, right? They tend to be very much that way. And then you can have people who are disorganized or fearful, avoidant, who are very inconsistent. Their caregivers were inconsistent. Sometimes they were sources of comfort. Sometimes they were sources of fear and punishment. And so what happens is now they have very fearful and avoidant and disorganized behaviors with their current partner. And you can see looking at these, like how these could lead to problems when you get different types of people together, right? Like, I'll be honest, like I am here, I'm very much disorganized, right? I had a caregiver who was like sometimes very present, sometimes not. And so I tend to like have fears of abandonment a little bit like up there, but like a little bit of inconsistency. My partner is very avoidant. And so when she pulls away, it kind of freaks me out. But we've been together a long time. We were able to find ways to like meet in the middle, which you can learn to do very much so. And you can change this by reattaching as an adult, right? They talk about how you can fix this as an adult in these books as well. So a really, really like prominent idea that sets the stage for how we do in relationships. As I said, I found this little test. It's a little bit like complicated in the way that like you can make it complicated in the way you score it, but there's an easy way to do it too, and we'll go that route. So what I want you to do, I'm going to give you this little test. It's a relationship attachment style test. You're not turning it in. This is just for you. It's two-sided. And you're going to think about how you tend to be in general. I actually think it's easier if you pick a stance. You can go with like in general in this way, or if you've been with one person for a while, you can think about that one person specifically, but pick one. Either like how you are in general or how you are with like one specific individual. And then you're just going to rate them, each one, from 1 to 7. Okay, so all you're going to do is go through. So like for the first one, I find it easy to get close to others and I'm comfortable depending on them. You either like rate it so anywhere from strongly disagree to strongly agree, and that gives you a number. So for each little section, so 1 through 5, you're going to get a score for that section. Then you'll get a score for the second section. Okay, so I'll give you a few minutes to take it, and then we can talk about kind of what it means. And there are a few on the back, obviously, as well. So just make sure you add up your score for each section, and then I can tell you what it all means in a couple of minutes. Ignore the scoring at the end for now, but just make sure you have a total for each section, so I can kind of tell you how you can use that number. I'm sorry to make you do a little math. If you still can add in, so just another minute. All right, how many of you have like one really like one score that's way higher than the rest of them? Does anyone have like one clearly dominant high score? A couple of you or like one clearly low score, right? I have two that are the exact same. Like I came out with like, or like very, very close, like off of a point. In general, the best way to interpret this is the higher the score, the more like you it is. Okay, so like for example, my highest score is fearful avoidant. Okay, so then I would go read the fearful avoidant. That one matches me most closely, followed by anxious preoccupied, right? So that would be like my second style. So whichever your highest score is, that is kind of the interpretation that you want to read. There is a website where you can take a little more detailed quiz if you are interested in more. I have it the website up there, and it's linked in the slides that are posted on Canvas. And I also included a book up here. This is a book that came out like 2 or 3 years ago. Really, really popular book on this topic. It's called Attached. The whole book is about attachment style, how it affects your relationships, and how to deal with the interactions between different types of attachment styles, right? So like if you're secure and your partner is anxious, right? How do you negotiate that? What are the common issues that come up and how do you deal with them? Really easy read and really interesting. So it kind of I thought I'd put that up there as a link if you were interested in reading more about this. But I mean, how many of you feel like it's kind of seems kind of accurate? Nodding, yeah. Any comments or thoughts or reactions or anything? Like I'm not going to collect it from you, and I do have some extras if you wanted to give to somebody. But any general reactions? Pretty accurate. Most of you kind of have that. It's obviously very oversimplified, and you can take a more in-depth one, but I think that it's pretty close. Yeah.
I've actually read that book.
It's a good book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was difficult to read it because I was a bit disorganized.
Sure.
And so you have to read a little bit of anxious passion as well as the avoiding and the try to map those two together somehow.
Yeah.
That could get, I think, another thing that they do say is that if you have a disorganized that probably either case by case kind of analysis. So that was interesting to read.
Yeah, it's a good book that has a couple of criticisms. That's one. that it doesn't address the disorganized attachment style as well. The other one that I would say is it's very like heterosexually based, which like doesn't always hold up for obviously for everybody. There's another one, I'm pretty sure it's called How We Love, I want to say. Yep, this one. So this is another one. This was written by like a Christian married couple. So it's very like it has a lot of religious elements to it, but this one does a really beautiful job as well of exploring like your love style and how that correlates to your attachment style in your relationship. So one other one, and this one is very faith-based, which I think like might appeal to some people as well. So two very different takes. But this one I think is written a little bit better for all four types. And it has a bunch of quizzes in it. I like books with quizzes. I think that's fun. Like these kind of quizzes, not hard quizzes. But this one's another really interesting one. They have like a workbook and a book that goes with it. So again, the way that we are attached directly impacts our relationships. And when you're reading these books, I think you can see it really well. And just even reading the descriptions, I think you can see how there could be problems, right? And it's a little maddening to think that this is set at like 2 or younger, right? But you can learn to change the way that you attach, like through like going to therapy or exploring this or reading about it, and even just being aware of it, you can change these patterns, okay? So it's something you can definitely still adjust. You're not stuck with it. It's just, it takes effort to change. Yeah. Yeah, or under. Yeah, even younger. Yeah, because it all comes from your caregivers. So what happens is you cry as a baby, right? Like let's say you're in your crib, you're crying. What happens when you cry? Does your parent come pick you up and hold you and calm you down and make you feel better and then put you down when you're asleep and then walk away? In which case you received probably like secure, like consistent caregiving. Does your parents sometimes come pick you up, calm you down and put you down and help like work? And sometimes they don't, in which case it might be inconsistent. So you don't know what to expect. Are they even worse? They never come when you cry. They believe in cry it out. Okay. So you're going to lay there and you're going to cry until you put yourself to sleep. So you learn, okay, well, I can't count on them. I have to do it myself. What if they go even worse and like you cry and they put you in the garage in a car and let you cry it out and they go to sleep and they just leave you? Okay. Then you learn like nobody's going to come and you're afraid. And like so like those early interactions, we're talking like a couple of months old, start to set the stage for what do you expect in terms of your care? How can you rely on or not rely on another person? And that sets the stage for how you view romantic relationships as an adult. It's wild. Even as a very little kid, you're already learning that. And you can unlearn it, but it's there. Yeah.
Oh. Family dynamic. Like
yeah,
age, like the oldest versus the middle, the youngest,
yes,
their attachment styles.
Yes, and so there's a psychologist named Alfred Adler. He talked a lot about birth order and how birth order can directly impact stuff like this. That firstborns might be maybe more likely to be secure because they received everything, or maybe the parents really didn't know what they were doing and they messed up a lot and they learned into better with the second or the third, right? Like how birth order can directly impact these tendencies, because there do tend to be correlations between different orders of birth and these attachment styles. So he talked a lot about that. Adler, really old, like he's no longer around, like old theorist, but that was a big thing that he studied. It's really interesting. Anything else here before we keep going? I know it's a little maddening to think that, like, again, as a child, these things are being set, but as I said, you can change them, and these books are really good about giving you like ideas for how to work through it and work through common issues that come up. So as we move more into now, right? Like, so looking at like falling in love and relationships. So the second I put like, what is love? I had to have like a snappy with that one. Really. Like,
what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Mine is love this definition. This is the current definition of love according to your textbook. It is a special attitude with behavioral and emotional components. That's so unsatisfying, right? Like it's a special attitude, right? That sounds like something you would say that's not very nice. I don't know. Like how I feel about you, you're special, right? I don't know. It means different things to different people. So it's incredibly difficult to measure, incredibly difficult to define. There are a lot of different types of love. A lot of different people have studied this and come up with their own ideas about types of love. So let's look at some of the common like types of love that we talk about. One of the most basic distinctions that we make is there are two types. And we're talking about like romantic relationships here, not like family relationships or friendships. Basic distinction: romantic passionate love or companionate conjugal love. Okay? And so this distinction says that we have like romantic passionate love, which we would call infatuation. In the beginning of a relationship, we have romantic, passionate, infatuation type love. You don't really know the person super well yet. Super strong sexual desire and romantic feelings toward them. They make you feel complete, right? Even though you don't know them that well yet, right? Like you're perfect for me. Everything is amazing. You're all I can think about. Like you're obsessed with this person, but it's very, very short-lived. Right? In order for love to last, according to the people who came up with this idea, it has to transition to companionate or conjugal love. Over time, you start to get to know the person a little bit. You get to know who they are. It's a friendly and deep love and attachment, but you still have to find ways to have like passion and infatuation in the relationship for most couples in order for it to persist. So one very basic distinction is that it's very short-lived, very intense in the early beginning stages. And then later, when you've been together longer, it's more enduring, you know them better, you love them for them, and it's actually more like companionate based, if you will. Super like basic distinction. Adding a layer, Robert Sternberg came up with what he called the triangular theory of love. So now we have three elements. So we went from 2 to 3, upgrade a little bit. So this one, he said that all relationships have 3 love components in different degrees: passion, intimacy, and commitment. Passion, intimacy, commitment. He said in the beginning of a relationship, passion is very present, but then it starts to fade over time. And we'll talk about why that is a little bit later, right? A lot of that passion is chemical. And that kind of takes some of the romance out of it, but it's a little bit true at the same time. There's a lot of chemistry involved in falling in love. So intimacy and commitment are things in a good relationship that are going to continue to build. And what can happen with these 3 things is we get different types of love. Okay, so for example, you could like someone where you have intimacy alone, and that could be, for example, like friendship. Right? Where you're friends, where you have intimacy, but you don't have passion. Or maybe you have commitment, but you don't have passion. Or you don't have the other, which would be empty love. Right? Then you could get like all these different types of love that could emerge depending on which of these components are most present in your relationship. And the gold standard is in the middle: consummate love. Consummate love is when you have intimacy, passion, and commitment. They said that was like what everyone wants. You want to have all 3 patterns. If you don't have them all, like if you just have infatuation, you just have passion here, or like you can have just these different combinations of them. But what the gold standard would be consummate love in the middle. So it gets a little bit more like depth here now that we have 3 elements that can combine in different ways. One of the most popular theories, though, is this next one. John Allen Lee proposed something that he called the 6 colors of love, right? That there are different types of lovers, and there are 6 of them: eros, ludos, storge, mania, pragma, and agape, right? And that you can see again how, just like with attachment style, certain types of lovers going together might be more problematic. Like if you have somebody who's like a game playing lover and somebody who's more of a practical lover, that could be a problem. Someone who's like a super like game playing lover versus like a selfless lover, like how these different combinations could sometimes be tricky. Now I have one more quiz for you. I think this one is fun, more fun than the other one, but we'll see what you think. So this one, will measure your color of love. Okay, now I put this one together, from like multiple things because there wasn't one that existed. So all you're gonna do with this one, you're gonna read through each of the statements and you're gonna rate them based on the scoring at the top. And then you'll get a total score for each color. What I want you to do, kind of like the last one, you have to pick a stance, right? How I am in general, how I am in my current relationship, how I was in a past relationship, or you could pick like your ideal. This is what I would like it to be. Okay, but you can't jump all around or it won't make a lot of sense. So pick one lane and stay in it. But you'll answer these and just rate them and then come up with a total score for each section. And then we'll talk about it. So again, for each statement, rate it from 5, like you strongly agree, to 1, you disagree. 3 is kind of like you're neutral or you're unsure. And you'll do that for each statement and then get a total score for each section. I know so many, that's 2 math problems today, but add up your scores, you'll get a total for each section. So again, when you're done, add up your score for each section and put it in that little highlighted spot. And in general, the higher the score, the more like you it is, right? So if you have a high score, your highest score, read that definition. If you have a couple that are high, then those are probably kind of like you. The lower the score, the less like you it is. But I'll give you a few more minutes and then talk. A lot of you still adding. How many of you had like one clearly high score? Did anyone have like one that was clearly dominantly high? How about like a couple of them that were high together? Anyone have one that was like, clearly that's not me, like it's really low, right? So this is I haven't taken this in a long time. I was like, oh, let's do it just for fun, right? While you're doing it, I'll do it, right? So I had 3 that were 31. 3. I'm like, wait, I'm a Gemini, it's normally 2, but today it was 3. So agape was like, oh, good start. Selfless. I like that. It goes downhill from there, but that's okay. Right? Eros. So I'm selfless, romantic, and then mania. Right? So I'm selfless, romantic, and crazy, right? Hopefully that's a good combination. I don't know. right? But all three of these were 31 for me. And then like my like game playing score was like all the way down. Like I'm not that kind of person. Like so sometimes you can see like what you clearly aren't and what your tendencies towards what you are might be. If you're kind of between a few, you might have more than one color, right? A lot of us have more than one style or more than one color, which may be brought out more or less by the partners that you have. Okay, so your partners can bring out different elements. And you know what's funny to me is my scores on this have changed over time. Like over time, my like quiet, calm, practical, oh, this one, my pragma score has gone up and up and up over the years. Like years ago, it was like 12, now it's up to 27, right? Like, so it's interesting over time how this could change in a relationship as well. But I think this is a really cool little quiz because it tells you kind of like your style. So you can read through the ones like the little descriptions on them. If you're interested, now this comes with a big caveat, but if you're interested, I have some extras of these, okay? But you have to be open to the results of the person who takes it, right? I gave this to a couple once and they broke up. And they were in the class together. And they like went from sitting right here together to like sitting at opposite ends. And I felt so bad because it started with this. Clearly there were other issues. This wasn't my fault. I've talked about this in therapy before, right? This wasn't my fault, right? But it brought those issues forward. So just in the back of your mind, if you give this to someone, be open to what they say or let them take it and then don't ever talk about it. I don't know. So if you want some, I have some extras, but this is a really popular theory that we all have kind of like different colors or shades to what kind of lover we are. And then we tend to do better when people match our shade, or at least have like a complementary like shade to where we are at. So what we'll do next time is we'll talk a little bit about the chemistry of love. It takes a little bit of the romance out of it in some ways, but I think it also explains some stuff in another way that's really helpful. So we'll talk about the chemistry of love. We'll look at that a little bit about like butterflies in the stomach and attraction and so on. And then we'll probably continue to move forward. So I have some extra attachment styles and colors up here if you would like one, and the attendance sheet. And then I will see you all on Wednesday. All right. Okay.
Today's my day off.
I'm so tired. I got the sinus infection on opening night. Oh, that's so good. But
Are you in a performance right now?
yeah, we're in Heights.
Oh,
It's
okay.
fun.
When would be a good day to come?
We have a matinee tomorrow
Okay.
at 10 a.m. and then we have
It's going on for like a good chunk of the month,
so
right?
we just had our first weekend, so we have the matinee. I was actually just gonna talk to you because we're in this class next Wednesday.
Okay.
Because we have another matinee. We have two student matinees with like high schools coming.
Yes. Oh, how fun. Because my kids would love, we saw Becca at Mamma Mia. Like we just took them to that and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thursday, all connections are 8 p.m.
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays at 2.
That's probably a good one. Because I would bring my kids.
Like,
Yeah. Who do you play?
we're just sitting on ensemble.
Oh, that's fun though. Yeah. I'm like, I couldn't do that.
Bro, you can tell my hair's so freaking long in this shit.
Are you in?
I saw
Are you in it
No,
too?
no, I saw the dress rehearsal. It was really good.
I'm glad I
Okay.
saw you in the audience because we were up in the walls
Yeah.
at the beginning, and so we're looking and I go, oh, I see
It
him.
was like having a good time.
That's really cool. Okay, we were in the middle of watching Mamma Mia, and I was like, I wonder if we have anything here that we could go see. And I saw that was